And good evening tonight. A veteran Houston police officer who was charged with murdering his wife in their Pearland home has been relieved of duty while he sits behind bars. Family members told police that Hilario Hernandez killed his wife Belinda in a jealous rage.
And tonight we have learned she had once asked county courts for protection against her husband. Larry Seward looked into what happened. After that, he joins us live in Pearland tonight. Larry?
Mia, Belinda Hernandez wanted the case dropped, and a judge in Harris County dismissed it, even had all of the records destroyed except a few descriptions left online. Belinda Hernandez filed for divorce from her husband Hilario February 21, 1990. The next day, her lawyer asked for and got a temporary restraining order. A judge dismissed it 29 days later at Belinda's request. That was decades ago, and those who knew the Pearland ISD librarian and her Houston Police Department sergeant husband saw no signs of trouble until Saturday, when the couple's daughter found Belinda shot to death. According to prosecutors' probable cause, a friend thinks Hilario was upset with his wife's perceived flirting with another man the day before. After the shooting, records say Hernandez told his lieutenant at HPD he would kill himself. Instead, he ran 3 hours and 45 minutes south to Kingsville. Police there caught him and sent him back to face a murder charge. Now relieved of duty, his boss spoke only of Hernandez's family, asking for prayers. Sergeant Hernandez, it's possible that he gets out of jail. His bond is $800,000. Friends and family of his wife did not want to speak tonight, but they raised close to $11,000 online for her funeral, and that was before noon. We're live in Pearland. Larry Seward, KHOU 11 News.
Purple ribbons were placed all around Shady Crest Elementary School today, where Belinda Hernandez was a librarian for the past 15 years. Grief counselors are helping students and staff cope with her loss. Well, we are not out of the woods